Hello and welcome back to Cody's Radio Workshop. On the bench I've got something a little bit special. This is a Roberts Rambler and it's moving all of its own volition. It can't wait to get going. It's an original Roberts Rambler with the square wave change buttons, and also with it being one with the square wave change buttons, because the later ones, which was also a Roberts Rambler, not a Rambler 2, another Roberts original Rambler, had the round buttons. So this is the first version of the original Rambler. You can spot it a mile off because of these, but you can also spot it a mile off because of these. Now these are really rather special and really rather rare to catch absolutely complete on one of these radios. If I lift that up, you can see what the knobs are actually like. They are different to what would be on a Rambler or a Rambler 2, and I'm just going to get one just so I can show you the difference. There we go. There's one off the original Rambler. I'll pop that back on before I lose it. But these ones are really quite hard to find. I don't like using the word rare really, because rare things are only rare in rare circumstances, and those circumstances are particularly rare. They're not common anyway. But it is an original Rambler. So let's get started. It needs a bit of a tidy up. It's a very dirty, it's probably not been cleaned in 20 or 30 years. When I bought this, the chap that sold it to me, I met him in person. He told me that this had been sat around and unused for many years and shifted from cupboard to cupboard, etc., and not put into use. So looking inside, we've got Roberts Rambler number 28,266 for those of you playing along at home, and popping them into your spotter books. So I'm going to disconnect the speaker and grab a suitable screwdriver and remove it from the case, just so I can have a look-see. I have powered this up already and it works, but not very well. Yeah, that isn't going to move. It really hasn't been out since it was, oh blimey, that's stuck. Good blimey, governor. There we go. Release Waderick. Release the Wed Radio. Release the Roberts Rambler. She's out. And what have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electrolytic capacitors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lock fits, another transistor there, a picofarad capacitor over here, a couple of trimmer pots, and a load of resistors. Oh, and don't forget the fishes. You've got to love the tropical fish. Oh, did you catch that? Well, that was a bit of a monster. That took me quite by surprise, but it's gone. So, what have we got? We've got 6 electrolytic capacitors, we've got 6 lock fits, 1 other transistor here, load of resistors, and a tropical fish. So, take off the bright bars very carefully. Tease these away, because I definitely don't want to damage those, the volume and the tuning knob, because they are, like I said, hen's teeth, they are double rare. Oh, and look at that. They were proud, weren't they, to make these. I mean, look at this. We've got the red rotary wheels, which you don't often see. And again, another indicator of this being an early one is the pointer, and I'll use a broken pointer to point this out. Do you get the point? I'll point here. This is a block of wood, and the pointer is, and the dial code is stuck to that block of wood, so when you tune it, it will move along. But that was a very rudimentary, very early version. The later ones are kind of a plastic affair, but as you can probably see, they're very dusty, particularly around here. That will brush off. Oh, look how shiny that is under there. I've got to do it now, haven't I? Right. With these retaining straps, you can bend that metal there and take them off. So if you've never seen that done before, I'll show you how to do that as well. Just on the edge here, there's a metal tab. The strap fits over the tab, and then the tab is bent up, and that stops the tab coming back off again. So you can, just with a plier, just bend it down a little, give it a wiggle, and it'll come off. It's nice to have them out of the way, because when you're moving it about, particularly I find during the alignment process, or even, yeah, I suppose just changing the capacitors, they get in the way. I mean, they don't move very much, but they get in the way, and that can be quite annoying. So that done, and I'll pop that over there, and I'll pop that over there. And with the magic of the internet, 3, 2, 1, ta-da! So that's the capacitors done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 6 has gone a bit wonky. There we go, it's all straightened up now. I can sleep tonight. So that's that done. So the next thing that I like to do, apart from drop all of my cables all over the place, like I've just done, is just power it up and give it a test. So positive to positive, negative to negative. I'll grab the shop speaker. Doesn't matter really, because it's a mono set. It doesn't matter which way around you plug these. I always like to go red to red just because it keeps it uniform. And that's off. And power supply is on. Volume is right down, and tuning somewhere in the middle, so we'll go for medium wave first. Now that does not sound good, does it? Okay. So I've probably got a capacitor in the wrong way around. So, simplest of all radios threw me a curveball, and what had actually happened was when I'd soldered one of the 220 microfarad capacitors in, which was one of, where's a suitable pointer? We'll go for a really thick pointer. There we go, look at that. This join here, I'd got continuity from here to here, but not from here onto this ground plane. So there was a break there. I don't think it was anything to do with my soldering, but perhaps that's why it didn't work in the first place. But I've put a tiny little link wire across there onto this ground plane and soldered that down, and it is now, he says fingers crossed, and zooming back out. Oh, and the little bright has just popped off that square knob in the middle. Turn the power supply on, shall we?
Speed rail project and the barcode. हमने मूसा और उनके भाई हारून को अपने निशान,
of which Zaha was, and he has been the last one really to
very mucky switch there on long wave. So let's get some switch cleaner in there. And into that one and that one while we're here at the same time. Let gravity do its thing, work its way down there just for a second or two, and then give it the beans again. There we go. Yeah, so that's now working. So now I just need to do the alignment. We'll try and screen share the procedure that I've got from the original schematic on screen. And I'll try and show you a lot of the steps that I do to get this thing aligned as per the manufacturer's sheet. It's something that I don't quite often show because it's such a faff, but you know, to switch the camera angle, I've only got one camera, I'm only a one-man band, and it's such a faff to just keep moving the camera around. However, 1,000 subscribers, thank you very much. I think you deserve to see a little bit more now, so just bear with me. So what we're first going to do, the first measurement, is the current going into the radio. So on the schematic it says to use a milliamp meter in series with the positive supply line. And here I have to be very careful. Positive supply line is the green cable, and the blue one is onto the power switch pin, so it's in series with the positive supply line. And for this you have to turn VR2, which is this variable pot here, this one. You have to turn it fully anti-clockwise, and you hear the sound drop off. And then the next step is exactly the same as step 1, apart from VR2, position 1 reading plus 1 milliamp. Well, if I just hover that there, so you can see here the reading here on the digital multimeter. For those of you again playing along at home, it's a 3438A, old school but absolutely rock solid for doing this sort of thing. With a digital multimeter, you know, a handheld or a bench, you know, a modern thing, you don't get the same degree of accuracy as you'll see in a moment. So as I said, position 2, step number 2 on the alignment instructions, exactly the same as number 1, apart from it was position 1 reading plus 1 milliamp, so we need to turn this up until it says 0.04. So I'm just adjusting the pot now, just ever so slightly until that goes up, and you'll hear the sound increase. There it goes, the sound's coming up. And there we have 0.04. So that's step 2 now complete. For step number 3, we are going, well, I am going to adjust these 3 pots here, these 3 trimmers, which is on the schematic. It is, I think it's 2, 3 and 4, let me just check. Yeah, it's T2, T3 and T4, and what we're looking for, as on the schematic, is across L1 I need to inject the signal. So I'm now just getting some leads off my signal generator and connect one to chassis and one to L3, which is there on the ferrite rod. It's the orange wire there. And then the signal generator is on, and I need to dial up 470 kilohertz. So here you'll see on the signal generator I've got a 555 in there, so I need to change the frequency to 470 and press enter, and now you can hear there's a 400 Hz tone at 30% modulation, and that's injected straight in across L1, and I need to probe onto the junction of R13, which is resistor number 13, VR1 and chassis, for maximum output. And yeah, so I am now going to switch, now that that's running, I'm now going to switch over to the output power meter. I will then connect the output power meter to the junction of R13, VR1 and the chassis, and adjust those three pots there for the maximum output. So that's what you're going to see next. So we've still got the sound coming out of the shop speaker, and we're looking at the Marconi output power meter, the milliwatt meter. You hear the sound, like I say, coming out of the radio, and I'm now going to adjust T2, T3 and T4, and you should see that needle come up significantly, really, because this does sound a little deaf. So I'm just doing T2 first, watch for the needle moving. And it's coming back down again, so I need to take it and peak it at the top. You can use an oscilloscope for this, I just find this a lot easier. So that's T2, T3. That came up a little bit there, you see that bounce there. Just get it up to the peak again, about there. And T4. Just get it up to the peak. And there we go, I think that's about it. I'll just double check with T2. T3. That did move a bit more that time. And T4. There. So that's that stage done. The next stage will be position number 4, and we will be adjusting VC4 and VC2. So now we'll need to tune the radio to a frequency and adjust the pots on the board. So I can now remove the signal generator from L1 and store my signal generator crocodile clips out of the way. What I'll need to do for this now is to pop the dial face back on, like that, and then on the signal generator dial in 1500 kilohertz. Oops, that's 1500 kilohertz. Tune the pointer down to 200 meters, just here. This one and this one. I think the one on the edge is VC4 and that's VC2 there. So again, now we're up to the output power meter, and you can just about hear the signal in the background. And I'm going to adjust VC4 first and then VC2. I'll just turn the volume up a little. You can see the needle does move, but I like to have that quiet. So I'll do VC4 first, which you've just seen. I'm just wiggling the pot backwards and forwards because it's not been moved for a while. It's quite scratchy. Trying to find the high spot for that signal. That's not it. That's it there. And VC2, that's the wrong way. VC4 again. That's about as high as we can get on that one. Got a cleaner signal now. I just disconnected and reconnected the output. So this is T1. So you should see this come up now considerably now I've got a cleaner signal. About there. So I'll go back now and check again on 200 meters on the dial scale and 1500 kilohertz on the signal generator. So 1500 on the signal generator, and I'm now going back up to 200 meters on the dial scale, and it's about there, and I need VC4 and VC2. That's come up a lot more. Turn the volume down. Turn the volume up a little bit. Maybe a little bit too quiet, that one. That's VC4 and back to VC2. So you can go up and then down again. We need to get it just up to the peak and leave it there. Back again to 526 and 570 on the signal generator. So 570 on the signal generator, I'm just dialing up now 526 on the actual radio itself, and to the alignment mark, and we go for VC1 and this time L1 as well. So this is T1. And L1 is next. L1 is this entire coil here, and it needs sliding up or down the ferrite rod for the biggest, strongest signal. Again on the output power meter. I won't show you that this time on the output power meter, you'll just have to trust me. But if I just move that along, that has gone from 0.5 to about 0.7. So if I move it back the other way now, to the end of the rod, that hasn't made too much of a difference at all. I'll turn the volume up a little, apologies to the headphone wearers, but I want to get this bang on. That's at 5, and push it back to the right again. 5.5, 5.6, that's about as good as we're going to get it. Now sometimes you see this little floppy bit here, this is what actually holds this onto the ferrite rod and stops it from sliding about. It's a rubber kind of strap that goes all the way through, a rubber cord that goes all the way through, and that helps it to grip onto the ferrite rod without moving. So I was able to do that without actually putting a spot of glue on there this time, because that isn't budging anywhere. Right, and the next one is long wave. So again, we will switch the radio over to long wave. There we go, and 526, which we're already at, and 200 down at the bottom, which is first. So we're on the 200 alignment mark there. The alignment marks, by the way, are both on the medium wave scale, but you use the same alignment marks for medium wave and for long wave. It's 257. And for this one we'll be adjusting VC5, which is right behind the ferrite rod here. Sometimes quite awkward to get to depending on how this thing's been wired. Sometimes these wires are around the other side, but this one looks pretty straightforward. So we'll be adjusting that one. We're on 257 on the signal generator, and on the power meter now just adjusting VC5 for long wave. Again, you might see this go up a lot, it might only go up a little bit, it might be just about in the right place already. Oh no, that has come up a country mile. Let's get it to its peak, which is about there. So that's that one done, and the next one for long wave we'll have to dial up to 526 on the dial scale on the actual radio, and this time dial in 160, I think it is, yeah, 160 on the signal generator. I'll not show you that this time, you've seen me use that. So I'm 160 on the signal generator, and dialing up to 526 on for the alignment mark, and this time we are adjusting L3. Now L3 is the other coil here, which is the long wave coil. So I'll be moving this one left or right a tiny little bit to see where the alignment's at already, and if it needs moved and left at the left hand side, or moved right to be right at the right hand side, or it might be already smack on where it is, but I'll find out. So here I go now, just moving the long wave coil along the ferrite rod. See, that's gone down a little, so I need to push back the other way. And that's gone way down, so we need to bring it back up. It's just dropped a little, push it back the other way again. We'll get it there, bang on. So it was about right already, but we had to check by moving it. And that is the alignment now complete. So now the alignment's complete, we can get rid of that god awful noise. Switch off the signal generator, pop it back onto medium wave, get rid of that cable as well, pop it back onto medium wave, turn up some volume a little bit, and this should be absolutely spot on now.
Their agenda onto the ballot, so to speak. But of course, ज़मीन और जो चीजें उनमें हैं सबका मालिक है. You're lying. No, I'm not. Or even if you should eat that 4-day-old sushi.
I just move this now away, move the radio away from the bench and away from all the noisy stuff that you've just been looking at. When I say noisy, it's interference. Medium wave, long wave do pick up interference, it's called RFI, from modern appliances really, and I've got a lot of old stuff here, but I do have some new stuff. It is a workshop. I've got old stuff, new stuff, and everywhere in between stuff. So if I move this away from the bench now, that was on radio 2, wasn't it?
One or two showers
Turn
across
it
the far
up.
northwest of Scotland. Temperatures are falling down into single figures for many, perhaps 6 or 7 degrees across the east of Scotland.
And the same again with medium wave.
Now, what about...
I mean, it's remarkable to think that it's only 4 years since the Tories won in.
यानी जिन खुदा की सिवा पूजा करते थे.
For tonight's guest, who is Tony Jacklin.
So you see, that is now working just as it should. So I'll give the case a clean up, I'll pop this back in, and we'll have a listen to it all complete and put back together, and looking hopefully really rather resplendent in Roberts Rambler red. So here it is done, all back together, and I'm really rather pleased with this because up until now I didn't have a very nearly almost pristine original Roberts Rambler in red, but I do now. I'm really quite pleased with it. Let's turn the volume down and turn it back up again.
Beauty is beyond compare, with flaming locks of auburn hair, with ivory skin, and eyes of emerald green.
Prostate cancer can be safely monitored.
मूसा ने कहा
Well, you
Should even get gold now. There it is. And on long wave, sorry, should get radio 4. Let's just move it away from there.
1030.
There it is.
Falling slowly. Macro-Hanish automatic. Southeast by east 1. 22 miles. 1014. Now.
So there it is. The red Roberts Rambler done. You've also seen the alignment procedure. It is straightforward, but it's not sometimes as straightforward when you have quirky little things going off or happening just because you're doing a video and nothing seems to go right. But thanks very much for joining me. Thank you to all you wonderful subscribers out there, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.